Okay, so today we're diving into something pretty fascinating. We're going to take a look at Mexico's new president, Claudia Sheinbaum, and how she's handling potential trade tariffs from the U.S.
Yeah, it's a high-stakes situation for sure.
It is, and we've got some great analysis to help us unpack it. Can a country really counter the trade tactics of a global superpower like the U.S.? And what does all this mean for the rest of us? What are the implications here?
Right, and I think what's so interesting about this whole thing is that, at least for now, Scheinbaum seems to have gotten Trump to back down, at least temporarily.
You're talking about those tariffs on Mexican goods that Trump was threatening?
Exactly. Those tariffs he was going to slap on them, but now they're suspended until April 2nd, which is, given Trump's history on trade, pretty surprising.
It is, yeah, and the analysis we've got here really highlights how Scheinbaum kind of made this a matter of national pride.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, there's this quote from her that really stood out to me. She said, "We will use the leverage we have," very powerful stuff, and it seems to have really resonated with the Mexican people.
It didn't, it's almost like she framed pushing back against these tariffs as a patriotic act.
Totally, and it's a stark contrast to, Trump's Make America Great Again rhetoric.
Right. She's focused on sovereignty and fair trade, positioning it as an issue of, Mexico standing up for itself. And that message, it didn't just get attention at home, it resonated internationally.
It did so beyond, the rhetoric, beyond the powerful speeches. What kind of leverage does Mexico actually have here?
Well, that's where things get really, really interesting.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So Mexico is now the U.S.'s #1 trading partner.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's huge. We're talking $782 billion in annual trade.
That's a lot of zeros.
It is. And it's not just about the money. It's about these deeply intertwined supply chains.
So give me an example.
Okay, so think about U.S. car manufacturers. A lot of them rely on parts that are made in Mexico.
Right.
And they need those parts delivered quickly and consistently, just-in-time delivery, it's called.
Okay.
Any disruption to that flow, even for a short time, could really hurt those companies, could cause production delays, could mean financial losses for them.
That's a big deal.
It's a powerful incentive for the U.S. to play nice.
Right, and the analysis also mentions Mexico, kind of hinting at retaliation and even looking at new partnerships, maybe with China.
Oh yeah, that definitely got Washington's attention.
I bet.
The possibility of supply chain disruptions combined with Mexico cozying up to China, well, that's a scenario the U.S. does not want to see.
Makes sense. And that brings us to this whole thing about the growing presence of Chinese firms in Mexico, right?
Yeah, what some people are calling the China backdoor.
So the analysis talks about how Chinese companies are increasingly setting up shop in Mexico, particularly near the U.S. border.
Exactly.
And it's a way for them to potentially get around those tariffs on goods heading into the U.S. We're seeing more and more Chinese auto parts manufacturers and other kinds of factories popping up there.
And this is causing a lot of anxiety in D.C. because, the irony is that these tariffs that were supposed to target China might actually end up strengthening China's economic influence in North America.
Wow. Unintended consequences.
For sure. And, of course, it gives Mexico even more leverage in its dealings with the U.S.
Right. Okay, so at the heart of all this is Claudia Sheinbaum, Mexico's first female president. And the analysis really emphasizes her, her skills as a diplomat and her economic strategies.
Yeah, she's really impressive the way she's navigating this whole situation, balancing relations with the U.S. and Canada while also dealing with China's growing influence. It's a tightrope walk.
It is, and it could really change how Mexico is seen on the world stage.
Absolutely. We might be seeing a shift towards a more assertive Mexico, a country that's willing to leverage its economic power and use strategic alliances to get what it wants.
Interesting. So let's go back to that original question. Did Mexico, under Scheinbaum's leadership, successfully counter the U.S. on trade?
Well, she certainly managed to push back and avoid those tariffs, at least for the moment.
Yeah, for now. But that April 2nd in the line is looming.
It is. So we'll have to see what happens next.
We will. But you know what this whole situation really makes me wonder about? Are we seeing a shift in how global power dynamics work?
What do you mean?
Well, in this interconnected world we live in, could we start seeing more and more examples of countries like Mexico using their economic clout and diplomatic savvy to stand up to even the most powerful nations?
That's a really interesting question.
It is. It makes you think about the future of global trade, the future of international relations, and how everything's changing.
It does, and it makes you wonder who else might start playing the game this way.
Exactly. That's something worth keeping an eye on, for sure.
Definitely food for thought.
It is all right. Well, on that note, that's going to do it for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us,
Thanks for having me.
and we'll see you next time.
See you.